I'm live. I'm alive. Okay. Hey now. Hey now. Let's get this all set up here. It's really hot down here. I'm sweating a lot. A lot of sweating happening. There's a lot of sweating. Can't stop sweating. I'm just going to say that. Hello, Rue. Welcome to my book collection. Yeah, I'm going to say that again when it's more appropriate. I'm just letting this thing populate a little bit. And I'm going to share the stream around. Oh boy, we are doing something super unique today, guys. Yes, Dave ordered a copy. That's friggin' phenomenal. I'm so glad to hear that. Good. Supporting independent artistic creations. That's great. Oh shit. I also I made a solemn oath that I would do this too. All right. So before we really begin, let's let this as we're letting this populate, I want to make sure I have this list of names. This is very important to me. I am sweating a lot down here with this hat and these lights. Hey, Tim, what's going on? Are you driving your truck right now? Are you trucking on the road? I hope you're keeping your eyes on the wheel. If so, I'm sure you got it down to a science. You know, being a trucker is not easy. You got to listen, I just drove, 2,000 miles to Colorado. I can't even imagine doing that on a weekly basis. You got nerves of steel. Let's see here. Who be this? I just want to make sure I have this correct for when we start. Right, Jason and Sean. Okay, good. I got that. What's going on, Russ? How are you? Welcome. My glasses are already fogging up, I think. No, they're not. But when they are, I'm going to have to take them off. Guys, we're going to try an experiment here, unlike we've ever done before. Just sharing this to the group. Done for the day. I'm glad to hear it. You relax. You chillax. Right, this is part 4. I don't know where Umberto is. I told him to show up the next day after the last broadcast, and I never broadcast. It was too crazy out there, man. We were doing a lot. I was doing a lot of family stuff. I was so rude. I was retreating to my room to broadcast. So silly. Silly stuff. Hold on one second. All right, I'm showing this there. Feel this light on me. I turned off the lights overhead, so we're going to look at the book. We don't want the glare to go down on the book, but it's like, how am I going to show the book like this? This doesn't make any sense. So I thought of another solution. Hi, Thalia. I don't know about New Jersey. I'm in New York, and we're doing okay out here. We have power. I hope that, I don't know, I'm assuming you're on your phone. I hope you guys get your power restored soon. Dave, I do have, I guess, if I'm going to recommend any other books, first and foremost, Misery Obscura by Iri Von. I don't know if you have that one already, but definitely pick that up. That is a must. The Iri Von book. If you can get a hold of it, you should check out fucking, what's it called? Teenagers from Mars is another good one. Shit, fucking thing. You got Teenagers from Mars, and then there's a book called This Music Leaves Stains. But again, I don't want to shit on the book, but I've heard it's not a good book, and from a lot of people who would know, who with some authority, and they've all decried the book. And the thing that I do take umbrage with this book is that, from what I'm told, it's essentially just a someone basically rewrote Misfits Central, which is the work of Mark Kennedy. That upsets me greatly. It's like, it's not cool, man. You know. So that was my understanding, which is upsetting to me. So check out those books. And then Russell Casualty, as I'm calling him now. That's his new Russell. That's your new nickname. Russell from tvcasualty.com is now Russell Casualty picked up that Max's Kansas City photo book. It's a very short book, probably way overpriced, but has some really cool shots in it from someone who like owned these photos and put them out. And I think that's pretty sweet. So check out that book. I'm trying to think if there's any other books off the top of my head. Nothing really comes to mind. I know there's a lot of books that feature passages from talking about the Misfits, but nothing so Misfit centric. I mean, this is part of the reason why I so desperately want to do this project, this Lodi project, is because there's just nothing out there about this band. You know, no one can ever get through. No one can ever break through the barrier, the legal barrier. And I realized I was like, I'm never going to tell the definitive story here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tell something. I'm going to do the best I can with the materials I got. Alberto says to get the Michael Ilago book. I'm not familiar with that one, but I know Michael Ilago. He was a promoter back in the day. As a matter of fact, he put on that Rich show with the Undead. I believe he was there at that show. So he might know a thing or two. Alberto says that he is also Mike Ilago. And if you are Michael Ilago, Alberto, then I'm very upset, sir, because you have blown me off twice when I tried to interview you. You agreed to do an interview, and then you changed your mind and got cold feet. And I hope someday you change your mind again, Mr. Ilago. I have great respect for you, but I wish you wouldn't go back and forth. Why am I stretching out these gloves, you ask? You'll find out. Yes, it's one of those nights. Tonight's show is brought to you by Raspberry Bubbly. Okay. We got our book over here. How am I sounding on the mic? This is so much better than the Colorado studio, right? Being back at the Shadow Gallery. Yeah. Okay. So before we even get started, I just saw another one pop in. We gotta do some shout outs here. They're long overdue. I want to make sure I shout out everybody that has most recently bought me a cup of coffee. What does that mean? I have this thing. It's called Ko-Fi.com. It's in the comments. You can read about it. I've decided to put up a link where if you want to support this work, not just Facebook Evilive, but the documentary itself, everything that I do, you can do so by buying me a cup of coffee. I like that. It's like, it's not donate to my PayPal. You're buying me a cup of coffee. I appreciate that. That's all it is. Anybody who buys me a cup of coffee goes on the list of executive producers for 1979, A Year of Horror Business, which is a more documentary than video podcast episode of Facebook Evilive, where we do an incredibly detailed deep dive into the year 1979. And boy, do we have some foreplay. It may be about 1979, but we really preheat the oven there, because if we're going to be in 1979, we have to know how we got to 1979 in the first place. And so that's what we did. That's what I did, or that's what I've been slaving away on. I was just in Colorado for a week. But in that week, I did like 4 episodes of the show, which is pretty good. That's pretty good, even though it was from a shitty cell phone. But it gave me an idea on how to do the rest of the book, because I can't do it straightforward. So what I'm going to actually do in a few minutes, after I read off these names, is I'm going to actually log in with my cell phone. I'm going to split the screen. And what I'm going to do is you'll be able to see the book, and I'll be able to talk. It's going to be really great. Alberto says, can we donate money to your PayPal instead? You can, Alberto, but what's going on, Russell Casualty? Welcome. We were just talking about how I'm now calling you Russell Casualty. That's your new stage name. You are Russell Casualty from here on in, forevermore. Alberto, you can donate to the PayPal if you want. You just PayPal jfrumess@gmail.com. I'll put it right here. But if you want to go through the Ko-Fi, that's the more official way of buying a coffee, whatever. Actually, I guess they don't take a charge out. Whatever you want to do, feel free. There's my PayPal address as well, if you want to do it. Again, what is the PayPal for? What is the coffee for? It helps. I'm not working right now. I don't have a day job at the moment. And so every penny you bring to me helps me to do this work. It's a way to support the creation of this content. That's basically it. And we are going to extend that. What does that mean? It means that we're gonna merchandise. No, I'm thinking I'm designing a piece of merchandise right now. I don't know if anybody will be interested. I'm going to create a situation where I don't have to actually print it up. It's going to be one of those on-demand printing jobs, but I'm going to create it. And I think it's Misfits adjunct, obviously, because this is a Misfits, podcast show. But it's essentially going to be really cool merchandise. It's going to be Misfits without saying the Misfits. I'm really proud of it. I will premiere it soon along with 1979. By the way, if you are in the Facebook group, I did put back up the introduction to 1979. You hear me talk about 1979 all the time. Well, you want to know what it's about? Go to the Facebook group and watch the introduction. It's a rough cut of the introduction for 1979. You can see how detail-oriented it is and why it's taking so goddamn long. It did not help that I didn't bring a computer with me to Colorado over the last week, where I was essentially just, hanging out and hiking and stuff and spending time with family and figuring I could do a bunch of content. That's why I brought this book, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Scream with Me. I bet it's backwards in the picture right now. And Russell says he'll take the monitor of Russell Casualty. Yes, that's awesome. A few years ago, I attempted to go by a punk rock name. I had a punk rock stage name, even though I'm not a musician, but I wanted my own name. And so my name is Jeff Frumess. So I was thinking, I'll be Jeff Formaldehyde. I thought that was really funny. And then I thought it was really lame. And then I was like, I'd like to be Screamin' Jeff instead. And then I thought, well, you know what? I'll just fuck around and put Screamin' Jeff Formaldehyde. Really nerdy, but that's what you do. That's part of one of those nerdy punk rock aspects. It's a lot of fun. Actually, I think Russell Casualty rolls right off the tongue a lot better than Jeff Formaldehyde. But Russell Casualty it is. So this is the book. I've only read halfway through. I promised myself that I would only do the book live on air. So I would be discovering the book. You can already see the glare from the light over here. That's why I turned off the lights. It's a little bit darker than normal. Let me see if I can brighten that. Yeah, these are as bright as it goes. So I'm literally cracking this book open and looking through it with you. We're doing a gander together at the same time. But before I do, I just want to give a shout out to our latest, we're going to call it the coffee club, right? The people that have bought a cup of coffee. Alberto, you know what? Just listen, would I be crazy to not to minimize? I'm telling you, it's definitely there. It's definitely there, man. But here, let me make it easier for you. You just go right here. This goes to my PayPal right here. Same thing, Alberto. I appreciate the support, buddy. Really appreciate it. Here, you can see it right there. That's the link right there, people. So I want to give shout outs for those in the coffee club. And the first one I'm going to shout out here is Sean Carney. I know, Sean, this is going back 13 days ago, buddy, and I'm sorry about that. So if you're watching this, I just want to thank you for your support. You are officially an executive producer on 1979. It is in the books. Next up, we have Jason Ebbin. Jason Ebbin, I want to thank you and commend you for your support to this work, and you are officially an executive producer of 1979. Don't worry, guys. The commercial is almost over here. Let's see who is next. I wish there was more. Adam, my friend Adam Cohen. Shout out to you, buddy. Thank you for your support, man. I appreciate it. You are now officially a executive producer of 1979. What does that mean? It just means you get your name in the credits under a special thank you session for supporting this work. After Adam, we have, this is weird. After Adam, we have Mr. Michael Jeffers. I like your last name, Mr. Michael Jeffers. Mike, thank you so much for your support. I commend you and I appreciate it, Mr. Michael Jeffers. You have been added to the list for executive producer credits. Next up, we have Mr. Rich Vega. Small world. Rich and I actually met at Madison Square Garden show. Why? Because I know his wife, Samantha. When I was touring with Blitzkid, we what our final date was Ghouls Night Out 10, and we all crashed at her house. And then later on, she met and married Rich. And then we were with mutual friends, Ramey. Shout out to Ramey. Everybody from Misfits Central knows who Ramey is. He's a good friend of mine. He lives one town over. We go to shows together. And we bumped into both Sam and Rich because Ramey has mutual friends with Sam as well. Same ones that I had. And so we had met. So I thought it was funny. And then I started to see Rich on here. And I put 2 and 2 together. I was like, oh, Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is Finkel. And so that's Rich. And Rich just became an executive producer on They Came From Lodi. And then we just got a new one. And I wanted to, here we go. And once again, we have Voice of Doom, a.k.a. John Steinhammer, who, wow, in a second, this is John's second contribution above and beyond. If you want, John, I can add your name twice. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll just put your name twice just because. I just want to thank John Steinhammer for his continued support. And that was completely unnecessary and wonderful. And I just want to say I appreciate you and I commend you, aka the Voice of Doom. I don't know why you call yourself the Voice of Doom. If you'd like to explain that in the comments, we'd love to know why, John, you are the Voice of Doom. John is also a moderator, much like Russell Casualty and the rest in the Facebook group. If you do not belong to the Facebook group, check it out. Wow, this is a lot of housekeeping for the beginning of an episode, but fuck, got to do it. It's got to be done. One last thing, as I said, before we dive in here and start doing this, again, there's merch coming. I'm trying to make it look really fucking cool, really fucking badass. I think it's going to be a t-shirt, and I don't know if it's going to, materialize, because if it doesn't look cool, I'm not going to put it out there, so I'm going to just put it, but I'm going to make it a non-committal thing. So what it'll do is it'll be a print on demand. So if someone orders a t-shirt, they print on demand, I get a cut of the dough. And what that goes to additionally the funding of this work, as well as They Came From Lodi Legal Defense Fund, should I ever need it. Yeah, that's it. All right. Enough with the fucking preamble, Jeff. Shut the fuck up. I love every once in a while I get a comment from some guy who's like, oh my God, I can't stand to hear you talk. And I'm like, bro, I totally get it. I totally understand. Peace and hair grease, man. Peace and hair grease. John says that he is the singer of a band called Voice of Doom. Well, John, throw some links out there, man. John, is your stuff ID tagged? Because if it's not ID tagged, let's have a listen to it. Let's listen to some vocals, buddy. So if you want to, if you're feeling froggy, put your music in the thing. Either share it in the group or share it here. I'm probably not going to do it right this second because I want to dive into the book, but let's take a listen. We've become a community and we're getting to know each other. Russell shared his music. Tony shared his music. I like that. I like, sort of, doing that sort of stuff. So, all right. In any case, without further ado, this is going to be weird, guys. I don't know if this is going to work. We're going to try. We're going to try to make it happen. All right. So the first thing I have to do is I have to do an invite link, right? Oh, and by the way, if you did donate with a cup of coffee, and I didn't read your name, let me know. I'm pretty sure I got everybody. I'm trying to be incredibly thorough. But just let me know if I don't come up, doesn't happen. Oh, we just got Alberto, who I was just talking to. I think he just bought a cup of coffee as well, or he's about to. I just see he followed on the thing. So if you are planning it, like you said you were, I just want to shout you out, motherfucker. Thank you, Alberto. Okay, enough with the preamble now. I got the link here. Boy. All right. Sending it to my wife on WhatsApp. That's the easiest way to do this because then it goes to my phone. I love WhatsApp on the desktop. It's really sweet. It's really great. One day. Okay. I'm just putting this up here. John just put his Voice of Doom Bandcamp. This is where Toxic Swamp is the name of the album. Check this out, guys. Go support John and follow him and give him a like. I'm actually going to do that right now. I'm going to let's find Voice of Doom real quick. Least we can do. We got to support each other here. So let's go find Voice of Doom. Going to give that guy a like right there. Boom. Oh, Nimvind likes your band too. I got to check this out. New York, New Jersey, horror punk hardcore. Great. I will check that out. Thank you. Yep, we just got a support from Alberto. So shout out to Alberto. We're adding your name to the credits. All right. Everybody saw that Voice of Doom thing. It's in the comments. Go like the page. Hold on. And which reminds me, Russell, we did a whole episode of TV Casualty. Where's the TV Casualty Facebook page, buddy? You got to get that on there. Thank you, Alberto. Guys, link in the comments. Go check this out on Facebook as well. Okay. Voice of Doom. All right. The gloves. Oh, is that the thumbnail? Yeah, that's a thumbnail right there. Good. All right. Screenshot that later. It's so soupy down here in the shadow gallery that. Oh, that's the thumbnail. That's the thumbnail right there. I did it. All right. Bear with me. Bear with me. I know you did, Alberto. I know you just bought me a cup of coffee. Thank you. Thank you. I see that. Holy fuck, is that hot? All right. Guys, share the stream. Man, I wish Umberto was here. He was so great at guiding us through his book, man. By the way, I think we got to do Misery Obscura. This was fun, right? Let's do Misery Obscura next. Let's go through it. I've read that obviously, but let's go through Erie's photographs next, since that's what we do. That's the plan, Stan. I have a hard out at 10 o'clock. So I hope we can get through the book by then. If not, then we have not. Okay. All right. We got our book right here. Check this out. Ready? Umberto's here. Yay. Umberto, I got the gloves, buddy. I got the gloves. All right. So check this out. Ready? This is how this works. All right. You guys are going to see how messy my desk is. It's a little embarrassing. I'm doing this just for all of you. Okay. Ready? Please ignore the beads of sweat dripping down my face. It's not from nervousness. It's just that it's so hot down here. We just moved into this house. Whoa, John says that he's also working with Tony on his secret Subway release. That is great news. Did you guys meet? Did you guys do that through this forum? If so, that makes me really, really happy. And I'm really glad to know that Tony mentioned that. But I hadn't heard anything about it recently. So I'm glad to hear Tony's doing that. That's great. Guys, Tony, who was interviewed, who had seen the Misfits 5 times with both Bobby and Doyle, had a band called Secret Subway, and they're really fun. And the recordings were premiered, I guess, on the show, and now we're finally going to see the light of day. All right, so check this out. So this is what I'm doing. So I'm going to StreamYard right now. Ready? Oh, God, this is so silly. All right, we got our book. I hope it's not dark. If it's dark, maybe what I could do is I could turn on the flashlight. All right, we're going to mute the mic. Yeah, we want book. Let's put Scream With Me here. Check out what I'm about to do, Umberto. This is going to blow your mind. Guys, this is so much better than what we were doing in Colorado. Scream With Me. Okay, we're entering the broadcast studio. Whoa. We're backstage. Okay. And there it is. It works. It works. It works. Wow. But the camera is so... I wonder if I can change the camera. Let's see. Let's do... oh, no. No, we want that camera. Let's do the... Sorry. We're just still figuring this out, you guys. That's too close. Let's try that one. Nope, that's the front-facing camera. That's really wide. Yeah, we'll just do this one. All right, you can see the book okay, right? Isn't that cool? How does it sound? There's an echo. I can hear an echo of some kind. I don't know if you guys can hear an echo. I'm a guest. Yeah, baby. That's the shadow gallery. All right, no more fucking around. Let's do this. All right, so this is how this works, right? We got our Scream With Me book. Can you hear me okay? All right, let's do it. All right, so we've popped this book open before. This is like one of the weirdest things. Oh, good, there's no echo. This is seriously one of the weirdest things I've ever done. I can't get over how weird this is. I'm like sweating bullets. Okay, we're gonna just share this stream if you can. Anybody who you think would want to see the stream, share it out. Where did we end? We ended at Where Eagles Dare. No, I mean Walk Among Us is where we ended, I believe. So we're gonna get to the Walk Among Us. Fuck, sweating balls right now. I'm so hot. Okay. Let's see here. Walk Among Us. Here we are. What did you share in the group, Russell? Is that hey, real quick, let's also plug. So Russell Casualty has a really fun Facebook group. It's Misfits covers 77 to 83. I don't know if that's the group that you just posted in here, Russell, but if you didn't post that group, put that in there as well. It's a really fun group with lots of interesting Misfit cover related stuff. Russell runs it. Russell Casualty runs it, and it's really, really great. So check that out as well. Okay. All right. This is going to be really hard. Okay. I'm going to try my best to make this happen. All right. My favorite Misfits release has to be Walk Among Us, which I've always listed in my top 5 albums of all time. It puts the good, the bad, and the ugly in perfect harmony with each other. So many songs memorably written. Sorry, so many songs are memorably written anthems that blend 1950s pop sensibilities and punk nihilism with satisfying aggression not found on some of their earlier records. Not surprisingly, my Desert Island Misfits song would be from this record, Astro Zombies. You want to know something? That mine too, man. I've said this before on the show, if I had to sum up the Misfits in 2 songs, really just one song, it would be motherfucking Astro Zombies, man. I think Astro Zombies perfectly encapsulates everything that is this band. So not surprisingly, my Desert Island Misfits song would be from this record, Astro Zombies, because it showcases all the best qualities. Yeah, right. It showcases all the best qualities that the Misfits had to offer in a driving, soulful, melancholy package. And that was Armand Majdi from Sick of It All. Well said, Armand. I totally agree. It really does. It just sort of boils them down into what they were, like the shit. So this is from 1982. Let's see what happens when I turn. Oh yeah, no, that's weird. That doesn't. Oh yeah, it works. That works. Okay, I like that. That's even better. This is from Ruby Slash, which was a label. So Ruby was a sub label on Slash Records, which was also a magazine. And Chris D from the Flesh Eaters was involved. I forget all the who, what, when, where, why exactly. I know we recently read an interview about that in the Facebook group. It was very interesting. So yeah. So the track listing we got. What is that on there? Is that like moisture or something? Why does that look so weird? Oh no, I guess it's just part of the book. It's part of the print. So we got 20 Eyes. We got I Turn Into a Martian. All Hell Breaks Loose from Vampire. Nike A Go-Go. We're going to talk about Nike A Go-Go. We got to talk about that song. I mean, for reals. Like What is going on, Nike A Go-Go? Hate Breeders, Mommy, Can I Go Out and Kill Tonight? Night of Living Dead, Skulls, Violent World, Devil's Whorehouse, Astro Zombies, Brain Eaters, and got that same classic lineup. Now, this album was originally going to come out on Plan 9 Records, as we've spoken about. It was mixed way differently, and what happened was Glenn, when they were going to get distribution with Ruby Records, Ruby/Records, Glenn flew out to California and basically spent 12 hours with Chris D and an engineer remixing the record. And Chris D said he regrets, or they regretted, that they didn't have more time because they could have made the song sound even better. The thing that Christie did not like from the Plan 9 mixes is that it was all drums and all vocals. And so he wanted to balance all of that out. And so that was the intention with the Walk Among Us mix. Now, Walk Among Us also, you'll notice, is not it's reissued like crazy, but it's never been included with anything Misfits related. And the reason why is because the contract that they signed back then was really draconian. Ruby/Records, they are still in control of this album, and it is their highest grossing album of all time, as far as I understand. It outgrossed everything else that was on that label. It took a few years, but it happened. And so that's why it wasn't included in the box set, and that's why you see 100,000 represses of this record. They just keep printing it because it's like printing money for them. So that is the situation, Skinny. I like this record. I like the way it's mixed. I like the way it plays really well. I like the versions of these songs. It really does encapsulate their sound. I mean, when you think of what is the definitive Misfits sound, if like you're going to introduce someone, I think Walk Among Us is the way to go. I mean, sure, we all like those Static Age songs the best, but if you want to introduce the band, like this is what this band is about, like bar none, like here's a record, like what record? Come on, bro, just give me a record. I just want to buy a record. There you go. You do. I think you do Walk Among Us. Okay, a lot to say. There's a lot to say about this cover. Guys, are you ready for some not revelations, but little known tidbits that have always tickled my fancy? Well, first of all, let's go to this collage here for a minute. This collage is a lot of fun. So some of these were taken from their first tour to California. Some of these photos were taken. You can see that one. They wrote the Misfits, got a star of fame. There is, I think that's Jerry and a Tower Records. That is Corey Rusk, Harley Flanagan, Barry from the Necros, and Glenn holding up. This was the night that they released the Halloween single, and they played the National Ukrainian Home. Fun fact: Harley Flanagan almost became the drummer for the Misfits at one time. Harley Flanagan was offered to drum, or they wanted him to drum on Earth AD, and Harley Flanagan turned it down. But Harley Flanagan could have been the drummer for Earth AD at one time. There's Glenn. This is a very iconic photo right here. So this is Glenn projecting the Crimson Ghost onto him while he's going like this. He's doing this thing like that, crossing his hands. Creates a really, really weird image. You see this on you see this on t-shirts a lot. It's really, you can see his hands. See how his hands are crossed over there? Very interesting. This is actually working really well. I'm very pleased. There's the back cover. Different from the Plan 9. The Plan 9 tracking list, which is somewhere here. I think maybe it's on the front here. Let's take a look. Yeah, right here. That's the Plan 9 version, I believe, right? It's the Plan 9 track listing. And then this is what it ended up being right there, unless, am I wrong? No, yeah, that's what it ended up being. Cool, groovy. We can see that. And it came with a lyric sheet, which was not totally foreign for the Misfits to do. I love the way it's laid out here. I mean, it's like they wrote out a bunch of pages and they like took a picture of it or something. I don't know, and laid it all out. Before we talk about the cover, let's read this blurb this is from Brian Flynn from Super 7 Hybrid Designs. Ready? The graphic aesthetic still amazes and inspires me. I look at everything the Misfits did and wonder how Glenn managed to make such a varied yet completely cohesive visual statement. The simplicity and the campy aggression in the design mirrored the music perfectly, and that's why we still see it so much today. Even recently, I have found more visual references when where he was inspired to go where he did. Glenn dug deep for many of his references, and they aren't immediately obvious. He made them his own. It's also the only reason I have the Angry Red Planet movie poster up in my office. I simply can't separate this image and the Misfits. They're conjoined in my mind for eternity. And I mean, that's really like, I think the secret sauce for They Came from Lodi, where, you know, for legal reasons, there are certain things that will never be referenced, but because the Misfits are so tied to the imagery that they borrowed from, we're going to find a happy medium, how we can sort of bridge that gap, you know, where we don't have the secret sauce, but just even saying the word secret sauce allows you to think of what the secret sauce is, if that makes any sense. All right, on to my favorite part of this page. Ready? Umberto, I don't know if you're still here, but if you are, I'm sure you probably already know this fun fact. This is a fun fact. All right, guys. So here's the cover. Now, you've heard Glenn talk about this. Glenn originally he did not want it to be, this was a messed up cover. Originally, it was supposed to be, the sky was supposed to be one color, and then this was supposed to be another color, and this was supposed to be a bleed through. So kind of like what they did on Evilive. So I believe it was supposed to start off red and go to blue and be purple in the middle. Don't quote me on what the colors were. If you listen to the Pusthead interview, he talks about it in painstaking detail. But Ruby Slash really fucked this up bad. This is supposed to be, you know, this is supposed to bleed through, right? The other thing that is interesting about the Misfits Walk Among Us is that the album is not actually called Walk Among Us. I mean, it is called Walk Among Us, but the actual record is Misfits Walk Among Us, or The Misfits Walk Among Us. It's not just Walk Among Us. Everybody calls it Walk Among Us, but it's really The Misfits Walk Among Us. The band is The Misfits. The record is The Misfits Walk Among Us. And what you're seeing here is, I guess you would call it word economy. You know, it's like we're going to Misfits Walk Among Us. It's really cool. I love it. It's such a great idea. You have, so these spaceships are from a movie called Earth versus the Flying Saucers. This is from a movie called Angry Red Planet. It's the Rat Bat Spider. That's what people know it as. And there is a band. There's a horror punk band that called themselves, I mean, every like thing you can think of that the Misfits reference has been turned into a band name in this genre of horror punk. So there's a band called Rat Bat Spider named after this like image here on Walk Among Us, right? Okay, so that's not the only thing we're going to talk about. This is, all right, here, ready? This is the secret sauce right here. Man, it's already 38 minutes and we have we have so much to go. It looks like there's going to be a part 5 to this series of Scream With Me. Okay, so everybody knows that Arthur Googie quit the band at some point. Everybody thinks that Arthur Googie quit the band because he couldn't have a second cheeseburger. There's a great story. They were on tour. They're on a tight budget. Glenn's controlling the money. And Googie says, Glenn, I want another cheeseburger. They're at McDonald's. And Glenn says, no, fuck you. By the way, I realize that sometimes this clips because I'm talking so loud that the signal is too powerful and I'm too hot on the mic. All right, that should be better. Okay, just in case. Googie says, no, Glenn, go fuck yourself. I want another cheeseburger. I don't know if they were actually in the McDonald's still or they were on the road already. God, see, this is what I was trying. I didn't want this hot spot here. This is annoying. Maybe I can fix that. Put this battery in. There we go. Perfect. And Glenn says, no, go fuck yourself, Googie. You're not getting a second cheeseburger. And Googie quit the band, or Glenn kicked him out of the band. One of the two things. That's not the only factor that led to Googie's demise. There were a lot of things. Googie and Glenn did not get along very well. Googie once said something incredibly vulgar in the car, and Doyle kicked him out of the car as well. I don't know if that was a factor in Googie leaving. But apparently that might have contributed a little bit. Here is what I do know. So I've spoken to Arthur on the phone. I've been trying to get Arthur to do an interview for a long time, many years. And every once in a while, it's lined up and then it doesn't happen. But I've spoken to him several times about doing an interview. One time we spoke for had to be 45 minutes. He really gave me a lot of his time. It's too bad I can't use any of it because I had recorded it, but I did not let him know I was recording it. It was for my notes that I record all these interviews, a pre-interview conversation. I will record that too, so that I can prepare myself with notes. And so I do have a recording of Arthur telling me why he left the band. But I will probably, out of respect for Arthur, never share it the other day. But I can tell you what he said. What he said was, the final straw was the cover of Walk Among Us. Why is that? Take a good look at Arthur right here. Sorry. Let's take a look at Arthur. Arthur is bald. Where is Arthur's hair? Where the fuck is Arthur's hair? And where is his watch? Do you see that? I think that's pretty good. Okay, I'm going to leave this here while I talk. So if you'll notice on his wrist, there is a shape of a watch that's been cut out. And if you notice that he seems to just have an egg head or a bald head or a penis head, as I've heard Todd Swallow call it the penis head, because I think Arthur called it a penis head himself. It was not Todd who invented that. But if you notice let's see if we can find some of these photos of Arthur's. There's got to be a photo somewhere of the Googs. Arthur had a full head of blonde hair. And Arthur was kind of like a misfit within the Misfits, in the sense that I can't find a picture of Arthur here. There's got to be a picture of Arthur somewhere. Arthur was a misfit within the Misfits, in the sense that, he had this blonde spiky hair while they all had devil locks. He didn't conform to the unconformists. Let me see if I can find a picture just to drive my point home. I know we all know what I'm talking about, but look at these guys here. So there's Jerry, there's Doyle, there's Glenn, and there's Arthur with his blonde hair, right? Just the misfit of the Misfits, man. And so for this photo shoot, I don't know if there was contention about, like, hey, Googie, get a haircut, but Glenn very specifically said, Googie, don't wear the watch. Get rid of that watch on your wrist, right? So Googie had this, it's not focusing. Googie had a watch on. Googie's like, whatever. I don't know what was said. Maybe like, fuck off. I'm wearing the watch, that sort of thing. And so when doing the layout, both Rocky, which is Doyle and Jerry's brother, aka Schlock, and Glenn, who were doing the layout, Rocky would help Glenn with that sort of stuff, I guess. Glenn had Rocky cut off his hair and cut off the watch. And when Googie saw what had been done, that for him was the final straw. That's when he said, I'm never coming back. And eventually they would approach him again. When Robo left the band a year after this, they did approach him again, as far as I know, to come back, because they needed him for the upcoming. They were doing a tour of Germany. They were releasing Wolf's Blood, had gotten distribution in Germany. The Wolf's Blood double EP version of Earth AD, whatever you want to call it. We've been talking in the group about how it's a double. Earth AD is a double EP. One EP is Wolf's Blood and the other EP is Earth AD. And some people have even said in that group that the lyric content matches that. I'm not really sure. I'd have to look at it. I've heard Alex Story say so affectionately and appropriately. He says, Earth AD is like it's one song in nine sections, which I really like. I like that idea. So they were going to work with him again. Glenn refused. Glenn was like, fuck that. I will never work with Googie again. So there was talk of them getting, work. And this is also a time when Jerry's carrying around his bass at this point everywhere. You see him on those tour pics, and he's got that bass everywhere. He's got it for the album cover too. And man, there you go. Walk Among Us. Did we read? Yeah, we read that. Okay. Wow. That was all for one page. Jesus fucking Christ. Holy crap. It's going to take longer than I thought. So, here is this right here, boy, we're getting into the nitty gritty, and my hands are sweaty. I'm holding this up. This is the fuck. Let me see if I can read this. The Misfits bio. Ready? Glenn Danzig, singer-songwriter and visual director of the Misfits. Originally came up with the idea for the band in early 1977. Unfortunately, he couldn't find anyone interested in playing kick-ass music. So, with a background in playing rock and roll since about the time I was 13 years old, he came up with the first Misfits incarnation, a bass player and a drummer plus himself on electric piano through a fuzz box. The first of a series of independently produced singles resulted in She, Cough, Cool. 2 months later, Franche Coma was added to on guitar. Sorry, I'm trying to read this through sunglasses, and from this angle, it's hard. And we all know that I can't really read, period, in the first place. So bear with me. Franche Coma was added on guitar, and the band, consisting of Jerry Only on bass and Mr. Jim on drums, began playing the East Coast circuits. Almost from the start, the group met with enthusiastic local responses and took off in '78. Blank Records, hope of the debut LPs by Pere Ubu and Suicide Commandos, financed recording of a complete album. But before release, Blank was dropped by the great corporate structure of Polygram. Blank was dropped by the great corporate structure of Polygram, went out of biz, and the masterpiece known as Bullet, with such gems as Static Age, TV Casualty, Theme for a Jackal, were left moldering on the shelf. Not the kind of guy to be left in the ruins of somebody else's poor business planning. The Misfits remixed 4 tunes: Bullet, We Are 138, Attitude, and Hollywood Babylon, then released an EP on June 78. So it's like, this is very interesting, the way that he is telling this story, which is different from, slightly different in the sense, like this idea of Blank folded, really making it sound like it was going to be released, but it folded. If anything, it sounds like a PR story to, sort of pass over the fact that they had been rejected. Because at this time, the Misfits are still functioning. I guess Glenn didn't mind, in later interviews being like, yeah, we were rejected and it fucking sucked. But like at this point in time, they have to make it look like it's tragedy. They released it an EP June 78. Wow, this is interesting. So instead of calling the EP Bullet, it's actually called Better Dead on Red. How about that? Wow. So Bullet in this PR bio is called Better Dead Than Red. The initial pressing of 5,000, which we know it's not 5,000. As a matter of fact, the guys in the Fiend Collectors think it was 3,000. The initial pressing of 5,000 sold out with virtually no publicity, near non-existent distribution, and only a strong word of mouth to carry the torch. Audience size tripled, and pandemonium resulted at nearly every show. CBs judged them too violent. Yeah, so look at the mythology that they build. CBs judged them too violent. They played a showcase. CBs judged them too violent, and they were banned from Max's in early '79, which was true. However, lucrative gigs continued at Harrah's and Irving Plaza. With Bobby Steele now on guitar, 2 more EPs followed: Horror Business, Teenage to Mars, blah, 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 and of course, Umberto denies us the remainder of this bio. Umberto. So cool, though. So freaking cool. But look at the way that Glenn has written this bio. Already they're trying to bolster the mythology, the legend, as any band would. You know what I mean? It's not like it's like totally understandable, but very sort of inaccurate or stretching of the truth to sort of that's what Glenn's doing. He's selling himself. They're selling the band. It's pretty great. It's pretty freaking great. Walk Among Us always sounded great to me. It was my introduction back in '82. Hearing it always takes me back to hanging out with my friends in college. if I had to pick just one song from the band, it would probably be 20 Eyes. Too catchy. My friend had a really great parody. As you know, most Misfits songs get parodied in some way, shape, or form. But he used to always sing 20 Guys in My Bed, which I thought was really funny. And that's Jeff Ament from Pearl Jam. Woo! All right, so it wasn't released. It escaped. That is fucking cool. Look at this. Available from Gem Records. Just like Gem and the Holograms. Another weird connection. Let me see if I can read this. The Misfits Walk Among Us follows hot on the heels of a string of underground hits. The Bullet EP, the Horror Business EP, the 3 Hits from Hell EP currently on the UK charts, and Halloween singles that indie retailers across the nation claim they could barely keep in the stores long enough to sell. Yes, that rarity, independent domestic 45s that actually that rarity, independent domestic 45s that actually move. Ruby Records Christie from the Flesh Eaters and Misfits leader Glenn Danzig, the best rock and roll singer to come out of New York City in the last 10 years. I'd agree with that. Wow, from Rolling Stone. Met at Quad Tech Studios in LA with engineering whiz Pat Burnett to remix the master tapes of the brand new, never before released batch of hits, including 20 Eyes, I Turned Into a Martian, All Hell Breaks Loose, Vampira, Nike A Go-Go, Hate Breeders, Mommy Can I Go Out and Kill Tonight, Night of Living Dead Skulls, Violent World, Devil's Whorehouse, and Brain Eaters. So, wow. That is fucking cool, man. And then these bags were reprinted again, or a similar bag was done for the never before seen 12 Hits from Hell, or the soon to be canceled 12 Hits from Hell. But they had these bags. I believe these are pretty rare to come by. And there you got the Misfits, the Kraut featuring Doug Holland, who would later join the Cro-Mags, and Even Worse featuring Jack Rabid. So Jack Rabid from Even Worse and Big Takeover Magazine is in my documentary. Gave me this incredible interview, a total insider of both the New York Heart. Oh, here you go. There you go. Tim Somer and Jack Rabid's 20th birthday bash. So both Tim Somer and Jack Rabid are in my documentary, and they both give some of the best interviews that I have in that documentary. Tim Somer was also the guy who signed Hootie and the Blowfish, and was in a band called, I forget what they were called actually, something Largo, Paro Largo or something. But that was their birthday bash, Saturday, March 27th. The Misfits, Kraut, and Even Worse. That's a New York hardcore jamboree. Here's another little thing. Let's see. All right, this is from Brian Flynn. My friend Chris Chen gave me the Halloween bag around 1994, before the internet was widely available, and before you knew it, things like this existed. It was such a cool and unique piece, and something I had never seen or heard of before at that time, that I have treasured it since then. Plus, it's a trick-or-treat bag. Who doesn't love that? And that's Brian Flynn from Super 7 Hybrid Design. I think Super 7, do they do those action figures? I think. This is a Clutch Cargo set list from 1982. So these were the songs in the set. Looks like it was written by Glenn. You got Night of the Living Dead, opening with Night of the Living Dead. So Daemonomania was being played. I mean, a lot of those Earth AD songs were being played in 82. I mean, look, you got We Bite there too. You know, Mommy. Well, Mommy's like an in-between song. It's funny. We Bite, Mommy, and Die Die My Darling are these sort of like no man's land songs when you think about it. And all were featured drumming by Googie, and all would eventually be released on Earth AD, much later versions of Earth AD, to make it feel like a more complete album, bringing it up to 12 songs instead of 9. Okay. Here we go. We got the Misfits. That's a nice little flyer there. Just a bunch of different flyers. Here we go. Look at those bands, man. You got this is the Midwest hardcore, the creme de la creme of the Midwest hardcore. You got the Necros, Negative Approach, and Meatmen, which are all on Touch and Go Records. You know, they had Disco Records in DC. You had a bunch of record labels in New York. You had Alternative Tentacles and Posh Boy and what else? SST out in California. You have the Misfits on Plan 9 Records. these are like the record labels, but then Touch and Go was like the Midwest, and the Detroit, Ohio area of punk rock, which had a huge scene that loved the Misfits. A lot of Desert Island songs here, Umberto. So, Desert Island song. If I could have just one song on a desert island, it would probably be something like 20 Eyes, because it is so goddamn catchy. The entire Walk Among Us album should be heralded as one of the best general rock albums of all time. That's Jacob Brannon from Converge and Death Wish Inc. Well said, sir. Here we go. Now we're really getting into the Flyers section. So here you go. There's the Flesh Eaters and the Misfits. I believe. Oh, no, that's at the Whiskey. This is at the Whiskey Go-Go. Look at that flyer, man. What a crazy fucking flyer that is. Here you go. There's another Misfits. Beautiful. Beautiful stuff. What does it say? Chris, remember the Whiskey, 1982. And there's a ticket stub. California tour memorabilia. Flyers and a ticket stub with an autographed Fiend Club mailer from the band's April 10th through 17th California run, including Arthur Googie's final show with the band at Al's Bar. So right after the big El Kabong scandal where Doyle cracked a kid in the head with a guitar, I mean, Googie essentially was out of the band right after that, right? Or at least that was when the final time that he had played live with them, as far as I know. And I believe it was either this tour or it was a tour before that where they first met with Christie and Ruby Slash Records and tried to get all that going. So there you go. There's the Undead. Oh, this is the show, the Elite Club. So this is where Doyle El Kabonged a kid in the head. Yeah, the Misfits, the Flesh Eaters, Undead. We've talked about this at great length ad nauseum. Jodie Foster's Army before they were known as JFA, and Deadly Rain. This is a famous one here. This is an iconic flyer. Battalion of Saints. There's another one. Dead or Alive. I think it's out of a zine of some kind. It looks like a zine. I don't know. Some more photos. So there's the introduction of Robo. I forget how to pronounce. I don't know how to pronounce Robert's last name, but Robo is a combination of his first and his last name. And Robert. Oh no, maybe it's just. I don't remember what it was, but yeah, Robo. He's Robo. I always thought that Robo had a stage name was because like had something to do with being a robot or something, as his playing is very mechanical, as people like to describe. There's Glenn singing with Henry Rollins. This is probably when they're doing We Are 138, which is on Evilive, maybe. I don't know. Jerry with his distorted bass. There's Doyle. Yeah, so there's all that. We've seen these photos 100 times, I think. They seem like common photos. So here's the artwork. So before Die Die My Darling became an EP, this is the artwork. And you can see picture of Glenn with one of the dudes from Social Distortion silk screening one of these posters, I believe. And there's the Necros with the Necros and the Beastie Boys. This is when the Beastie Boys, they had a record out called Pollywog Stew, and they were a straight up hardcore band. They had a fourth member in that band as well at Irving Plaza. So they did another Irving Plaza show Friday, June 25th. I believe Todd Swallow is playing drums on this show. Let's see. All right. Something from Al Pike. Before the Irving Plaza show with the Misfits, Necros, and Beastie Boys, Glenn screened large posters with imagery from an old Chamber of Chills comic that would later become the Die Die My Darling single cover artwork. There you go. I had my 78 silver Ford Granada, and we drove Glenn around the village, helping him paste them up to promote the show. We had a bucket of glue and some big paint brushes. We got up quite a few, but when we drove back around to check on our handiwork, some posters had mysteriously disappeared. Man, if they were ripped down by people that knew that they would be worth a lot of money to sell them, more power to them, right? Oh, here we go. Russell Casualty says, Julio Roberto Valverde Valencia. So Julio Roberto. So that's That's Robo's full name right there. Glenn, needless to say, was pissed. The glue was a real bitch to wash off your hands, so I'm sure whoever got those posters had a pretty sticky mess to deal with. And if he did manage to preserve those posters, he probably could fund a trip to Hawaii with them. By the way, I'm sure we're all familiar that motherfuck, a copy of Cough Cool went for $10,000, almost 11 grand, $10,877. A single Misfits single, one of 500. I believe 100 were burned up in Manny's house. So really one of 400 went for over $10,000. When I saw that it was at $7,400, I had a feeling that it was gonna keep going. I had a feeling that if these guys were bidding at 7 grand, they probably were gonna cap it off at 10, 10,000 or go past 10,000. Because when you're in for 7, you're definitely in for 10. Here is a picture with Glenn, and this is what is known. This is what I was talking about the other week. These are the Mongolian cuts. So if you see Glenn's hair is cut all weird, because that was to further shape the devil lock, right? He's trying to get the devil lock down. So he's growing his hair out a little bit. And yes, as Russell Casualty says, with $12 shipping, hilarious. And there's Todd. That's Todd Swallow on the drums. Todd and I have been meeting every Wednesday privately on WhatsApp, or not WhatsApp, Zoom, to conduct interviews for They Came from Lodi. And it's been a pleasure interviewing Todd and hearing his recollections. But there he is filling in. And Todd would do the last show. We haven't talked about that yet. We're getting there to the very last, the final show on 10/30/1983. So here we are. Misfits. There's another flyer. I am sweating my balls off. Here's a quote from Todd. Let's see what he has to say. Here, I'm going to put it on Todd's face while I read his quote. Shout out to Todd. It was an honor to be asked to fill in for the first show I ever played at Irving Plaza. We drove to New Jersey a few days earlier so I could learn the set, which we had down after just 2 rehearsals. Beastie Boys opened, Necros were on second. First song of the Misfits set, I get hit by a full can of beer from the balcony as Bobby Steele is chucking them at his old band. That didn't last long as the Misfits bouncer Paulie B tossed him down 3 flights of stairs. Whoa, mama. That is a bitch right there. Boy, I never got to ask Bobby about that, and I know he won't tell me now. Bobby doesn't do Misfits interviews anymore, from what I can tell. Apart from he did talk to me for 1979. He will be making an appearance, but I wish I could have asked him about that. That's interesting. Got pelted Todd right in the face with a beer can, or in the head. Here you go, Misfits and Necros. So the Necros are in the picture at this point, and they are essentially the little brother band of the Misfits. Man, Misfits love taking them on tour. They have an automatic drummer if they need one in Todd, and they get along real well with those guys. Those guys are a lot younger than the Misfits as well, and they revere them. The Necros revered the Misfits. I asked Todd what the Necros stood for. I guess the Necros is kind of short for the necrophiliacs or something. At least that's what I remember him saying. So there you go. The Misfits walk among you. There's another one of those posters featuring, what is it? Captain Blood, Captain Coolidge, Captain something. Fucking hell. I am sweating my balls off. The fall tour, including Robo's first performance with the band at the Big Room, and the September 29th show featuring art by Pusshead. So there you go. You got art by Pusshead too. Wow. I don't know what that is. I've never seen this before. See, this is what is so nice about going through this book and being surprised. I've literally, every time I turn a page, I don't know what I'm going to find. This is fucking cool. So what is this? So I guess this is, sorry, by the way, I hope you can hear me when I talk and read at the same time. Okay. So this is Pusshead flyer. Right, Pusshead would interview Glenn for almost 3 hours in 1986 for Thrasher magazine. It's the most in-depth and intimate interview Glenn has ever given. It's been cited countless times for various things, and it's basically Glenn giving an oral history of his career. Photocopy of the original artwork by Pusshead before band logos and typography were added. Oh, that's what that is. Wow. Didn't realize that. Looks so different without it there. That is cool, man. You got Misfits, Necros, and Fate. That's a parental guidance, backstage pass. Interesting. City Club Fire, City Club Backstage pass. And then here, this is by Mad Mark Rude, I believe. And he did the album art for the one of the greatest album covers of all time, Earth AD, in my opinion. It took Mad Mark Rude over a year to complete the artwork for Earth AD. You know, they recorded Earth AD in 1982, I believe, most of it. And so begs the question, were they waiting all that time for Mad Mark Rude to complete the album cover? Evan Dando from the Lemonheads. Okay, if you were lucky enough to pick up the limited edition pressing of the Lemonheads split with the Misfits, so it's the Misfits on one side doing Skulls, and it's the Lemonheads on the other side doing Skulls acoustically, which I guess is kind of must be a rare recording. I would love to know how much that is going for. If anybody knows off the top of the head, maybe I'll post that in the group. Kind of curious to know myself. I started doing Skulls a la Leonard Cohen's Sensitive Folk Style in 1988. The Misfits were another excellent, less is more aesthetic reminder. The Lemonheads used to play both Halloween songs, and the Misfits and the Dream Syndicates in that time of the Misfits and the Dream Syndicates in that time of self-inflicted, no style, no frills rules. The Misfits let us remember fantasy escapism and what Kiss would term the masquerade. Interesting. Very poetic. There's the Misfits with the Skullbusters and the Necros. Never heard of the Skullbusters till just now. So here's a show that the Misfits did with Social Distortion. You got your artwork from Psycho, right? At Bob's place. Wow, a lot of so I guess Umberto and Tom and Jeremy got the idea to do Desert Island songs for a lot of these blurbs. Desert Island song, Astro Zombies, not too obscure, not their nastiest, but they created a song that makes alien invasion and extermination of humanity seem so palatable. Great melodies, great hooks, and nasty dark lyrics, depending on which perspective you're looking at it from. It has a positive message, a perfect song, basically. Matt Kelly from the Dropkick Murphys. Matt, I couldn't agree with you more, buddy. Well said. This is a very famous. So I've actually held one of these in my life. There's a couple of things in here that I've gotten to hold or look at and whatnot. But this is one that I've seen pop up quite a few times. Very pretty. Here's a very standard Misfits Necros flyer. Another government issue poster. Flyer, I mean. And yeah, I've spoken about how John Stabb is in the documentary. John Stabb is no longer alive. There's a whole hours-long unseen interview with John Stabb that I hope will see the light of day in my documentary. There you go. There's another one right there. Oh boy. Man, I would kill to own all these flyers. Boom, there you go. More well, I wonder if these were produced by the Misfits, because notice how the Misfits are on top with government issue at the bottom, and then look at this. I feel like bands do that all the time. You know, if you're the one that's making the flyer, you're going to make your band, most prominent on top, and then, you're going to have the other band. Let's see what it says here. The three variations of poster for their October 22nd show. The most common is the black with orange lettering middle, while the rarest is the black with offset orange on the right. But no mention as to whether these were made by the Misfits themselves. As I said, I'm betting my money that they were made by the Misfits. Here you go, Misfits and Reagan Youth. We've heard a little bit from Al Pike, who we've not heard from in here, but I have interviewed. Is Paul Cripple, the guitar player and only original member of Reagan Youth, still touring as Reagan Youth. And yeah, he's also in my movie. Here's another one with that recycled artwork, and you got Gangrene there. The Nihilistics are also in my movie. So what I would basically do about 10 years ago is I would look at all these posters online, and I would go, oh, there's the Nihilistics. They're local. let me call them up and ask them about what it was like to play with the Misfits. And I literally would do that. I would just find bands still around who played with the Misfits and hear their perspective on what it was like to play with the band. And I thought, man, I think this will make for interesting content. I would do these hour-long interviews and maybe I would get a couple of sound bites out of them. But it was worth it. If I could get 2 or 3 sound bites out of an hour of interview per hour of interview, then I knew that eventually I was going to have a movie. I think I have close to 100 hours of interview. So therefore there's a movie in there. And with your help, with your contributions, during these terrible, terrifying times, I will begin the work to put that together. Again, stay tuned. We have some cool artwork. Sorry, I can't talk. I don't know what's wrong with me. My apologies. So yeah, I saw the Nihilistics and I said, oh, I'm gonna contact what the fuck is his name? Ron Rancid and Troy. And what the hell is the other guy? And Ajax and Rancid, and did an interview with them in the Queen Cemetery, talking about the Misfits. Funny thing about those guys, they totally went on Misfits Central and read a bunch of they read as much as they could about the Misfits. It was so blatantly obvious to me at the time. Those guys are jokers. My favorite Misfits song was Mommy, Can I Go Out and Kill Tonight? The sound of the live recording was so raw and blustering. It was the fastest song on Walk Among Us. Is it? What about 20 Eyes? I think 20 Eyes is faster. All Hell Breaks Loose is way faster than Mom. I mean, Mommy's gets pretty ripping towards that singled up the kids. No, Rip the Fence of Me, That's the Love of Life. Wait to play them scenes, I should not, but I'm a day. I'll be back to for Rizzo Mama's Dream. Can I go out and kill tonight? Kill tonight, yeah. Kill a girl I love a saying I keep a toes on teeth. Every night I go around and still if I'm a keep. I'll be back to souvenir for Rizzo Mama's Dream. Yeah, it's pretty ripping. It's pretty ripping. At that age, I had not heard a song played faster. The middle break is one of my all-time favorite moments in music. So the I love the way the Bouncing Souls do it. If you find the Violent World tribute, you can find the Bouncing Souls do it. Whoa, I've never seen that before. That's a new one for me. Cool. Fucking cool, man. I've never seen that. So DYS played with both Samhain and the Misfits. Isn't DYS Dave Smalley? I'm not sure about that. Please keep all ages leashed or confined. Ha 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 ha. With negative effects. The FUs. That's a hardcore show right there. There's another one. I've never seen this flyer either, I don't think. Interesting. That is cool. Man, for a band with finite media, I'm always finding or discovering some new little thing. It's so fucking cool, even to this day. And there's still so much more that we haven't seen, that we may never see. A lot of varieties of this of this flyer. That's an interesting font right there. So this is Ken Barber from House Industries. Right. Desert Island Song. A handful come to mind, but I have to go with Skulls. The way the song pairs disturbing lines about peeling off people's faces with borderline poppy riffs. It's so true. Makes Skulls particularly creepy, yet oddly catchy. I was listening to the song on the drive home one day after picking up my 8-year-old son from school. He had his nose buried in a Garfield comic, so I assumed he was blissfully disinterested in the music rumbling from the car speakers. Soon I heard him singing along with the chorus, followed by, "Dad, what band is this?" Needless to say, we had to have a chat about the likely repercussions if he were caught singing Skulls in school. That story warms my heart. Quick story of myself. So this is funny, actually, because last night, my wife and I are tucking our son. I have a 4.5-year-old son. We're tucking my son to sleep, and my wife usually sings him a lullaby. I decided I was going to sing him a lullaby. And so I'm singing him this lullaby, and it goes, "This pretty planet spinning through space, your garden, your harbor, your holy place. Golden sun coming down, gentle blue giant, spin us around, all through the night, safe till the morning light." So I was singing him this lullaby, and my wife is giggling, because I'm being a goof. and she's whispering something in my son's ear like, mommy's a better singer than daddy. And so I just started, and I do this, this is what I do sometimes. I just started going, the corpses all hang headless and limp, bodies with no surprises, and the blood drains down like devil's rain. We'll bathe tonight. And I always get hit for it and get out of there with that, but I do that all the time. President's bullet-ridden body in the street. I mean, it's just so much fun. It's fun to sing your small children Misfits songs. I got something to say. I got in a little bit of trouble for that, but I related to that story. I like that story a lot. I think that's hilarious. Oh man, here we are at Evilive. What do we do, guys? Do we? I'm fucking God. There's so much book left. We're not going to get through this book. All right, we'll go for a half hour more. Let's do the Evilive section. We'll move. We'll call it a day because I'm dying here. I am dying. But this is a good system, right? This is a good way to do this. You got the camera on one side and you got this back and forth. Maybe we'll do another one tomorrow. Let me see if I'm feeling froggy. If not, maybe Thursday. I don't know. I really want to get through this fucking book though. Although I do need to complete 1979, so maybe we'll save it for next week. All right, let's do Evilive, and then we're going to put a pin in it, okay? My friends and I had just started... Oh, fucking hell. My friends and I had just started getting into punk, and some older kids told us about them. They said, you guys better go see the Misfits. A dude in the band killed a kid. Wow. Oh, this is fucking cool. So here's an example. Here's an example of the mythology spreading, right? This is the mythology starting to, eke its way out. I'm going to read this again, but with like better instead of like not reading it bad, like the way that I do. My friends and I had just started getting into punk, and some older kids told us about them. They said, you guys better not go see the Misfits. They said, you better not go see the Misfits. A dude in the band killed a kid in the audience by smashing him in the head with a guitar. We were freaked out and stoked. We immediately skated to the record store and bought some tapes. Jay Howell from Bob's Burgers, Sanjay and Craig. So this is fucking fascinating. Thank you, Umberto and Tom and Jeremy, for getting these stories, these things, because it's like, remember, we talk about this all the time. This is pre-fucking internet. There's no internet. These things are getting passed around word to mouth. It's phenomenal. It's fascinating. It fascinates me to no end that this stuff happens. So here we go. We got Evilive, put out by Plan 9, right? This is recorded from a bunch of different shows from soundboards. One was on Broadway. I know that. And I think there was another one. And so here's what's interesting is I think the original one only has 7 tracks, but eventually it gets expanded to 12. And the original Evilive is only available through the Fiend Club, and it's put out as a 7-inch. We're going to find out some interesting things. I'm sure there's the 3-packs. There are 3-packs of Evilives that go for $10,000. They probably go for $20,000 now. If a Cough Cool is $10,000 for a 7-inch, I bet you an Evilive goes for more. So, oh my God, I'm dying. So I think this is the original one, right? Yeah. So this is Evilive 1982. This is the Fiend Club edition, numbered and stamped by Glenn Danzig. This is 166 in a series of 1,000 copies of the Fiend Club edition of Evilive. Could you imagine how much 138 goes for? Evilive insert 1982 Fiend Club edition. So here you go. Look at that. That's the insert. And then that artwork went on the back, right? Which is right here. And it says Fangs. And that's where we get Fangs from instead of saying thank you. Shout out to Devilman, a.k.a. Maurice Nunez, who loves saying Fangs all the time. That comes from this right here. Recorded November, December 1981, right there. And I don't know who created this artwork. I wonder if it says, Umberto, if you're here, or if somebody knows who created this artwork. I'm very curious to know. I mean, it's so fucking gorgeous. Look at this. I always love this. Look at the spider guy and just the demon faces in the back. So weird. And it's so blank too. Like, it's got these really interesting images, and then you have all this white space here. It just sort of blows the mind. Fiend Club Edition stamp, opposite top. Custom Crimson Ghost rubber stamp used to stamp the Fiend Club Edition. Wow. Wow. Look at that, huh? Look at that. Glenn had to make that probably by hand. He had to carve that. Unfucking believable. The dedication. And that's what it looked like. You do a double, you do different colors and create double, 3D images. Wow. That's the stamp test impressions from 1982. Test impressions on stickers to display the stamp's effectiveness. I wonder whose collection this came from. Boy, is that fucking cool. There's no other band that has more fascinating, cool shit than this. The band inspired a dark edge to what I was doing when I was young. I loved heavy music, but didn't love when it was happening stylistically in my local hardcore punk metal scene. When I saw what the Misfits had done, it was like a light went off that said, wear black, play fucking hard, and it's okay not to dress the part of whatever was happening in the scene at the time. I carry that mentality to this day. That is Zaki Vengeance from Avenged Sevenfold. Avenged Sevenfold. Think about what that band name means. It means that I've been avenged 7 times. Sevenfold have I been avenged. Interesting. Umberto has been here the whole goddamn time. Umberto says it was my collection. Stamp was actually made by a member of the Necros. What? Who in the Necros made that? Fuck, that's from the Necros did that shit? Yo, you're blowing my mind, Umberto. Umberto, you know way more than I do. Break down the Fiend Club. Sorry, the Evilive, the 3-packs. I'm sure it actually goes into it here. I'll just turn the page. Here you go. Literally the very next page. So that's so this shirt. All right, ready for this, Umberto? I know who owned this shirt before you did. If you did, okay, you'll tell me offline. That's fine. Umberto, this is from Damien. Damien from Samhain was in possession of this shirt from Glenn, and this was one of Glenn's stage shirts. And when I first started making shirts, yes, I used to make shirts. I used to make shirts 12, 13 years ago when I quit smoking. One of the ways that I would, keep myself busy is I would make my own shirts. I made a ton of Misfit shirts. And I did it very similar to the way the Misfits made them. And that's why I have great appreciation for what the Misfits did. And I totally did it because the Misfits did it. That just an incredible inspiration to all of us. But this is such a fucking cool, interesting shirt. I love this shirt. The Skullbat shirt. Here, I'm going to put this up here and read about it. The Skullbat shirt was made and worn by Glenn Danzig at several shows and is featured in the photograph on the cover of his 3-pack Evilive. Here we go. Evilive, circa 1982 3-pack edition. Numbered and signed by Glenn Danzig, this is number 7 in the intended series of 33 3-packs featuring covers of Glenn, Jerry, and Doyle. Now, what's interesting, too... Wow, really? Russell just said, okay, Russell Casualty says another cough cool. This is going to keep happening. We're going to see copycats now. People are going to start gouging the market. Everybody's going to have I bet you it's a bootleg. Or maybe it's just someone who was inspired, who had a cough cool for so long and was like, wow, went for 10 grand. Let's see what we can do. Because at the end of the day, the market price is indicated by what people are willing to pay for it. And there's no finer example of what people are willing to pay for than eBay. And so even though these aren't official prices, technically they are the market value by what someone is willing to pay for a cough cool. What it ends up doing is it sets a precedent, right? It sets a precedent for what someone is willing to pay. And now we're going to see a lot more records just going up in value, and we're going to see a lot more cough cools. And the sad truth is it's probably going to be bootleg cough cools going for more money. So here's a 3-pack. And what happened was Glenn had extra records, I believe. This is the story. Glenn had extra records. And so what he did was he made these special packaging, these special edition. I guess at this point, shit started to get really, really collectible, and Glenn knew about it. Glenn had the foresight. And so he's starting to make these very special editions, and he's handing them out to friends or giving them to friends or selling them to friends. And one of these 3-packs will easily go, and this was years ago, would go for $10,000, a Evilive 3-pack. I think with the new market pricing that we've seen with Cough Cool, I bet you a 3-pack could go for even more money now. Holy shit. All right, I can't really, I don't know if my hands, so here's what Russell Casualty just posted that. Wow. All right, that's fucking nuts. All right, moving on. Here's a patch. I've never seen a patch before. Wow. There's yet another cover of Evilive. I guess that's another pressing. I mean, but that's the other thing too, and that's what's so cool, and that's what Glenn would kind of do. It's like change repress the thing, change up the artwork a little bit. Why? Because it makes it for an item people need to collect this shit. You know, your collection's not complete if you don't have everything. And Glenn, whether for whatever reason, had the foresight, the brilliance to do this. So here's another, yet another. I wonder how rare that one is. And there you go. That's a patch right there. Remember, kids, you can get these books. They're still available on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles and whatnot. And once they're gone forever. That skull looks very much like the skull that Jerry had. That Jerry has a tattoo of it on his back. Wait, what? Umberto says that is not a patch, it's a light. That is a light that Glenn made. Wow. Let's see. All right, let's read all about it. Thank you, Umberto, for verifying. Okay, so this is an unnumbered edition of the single with an alternate cover photo. How rare is this one, Umberto? We've seen this on t-shirts, but how rare is this one as a 7-inch? I'd be curious to know. The Nightlight. Previously a liqueur sign, Glenn Danzig silkscreened the Evilive artwork onto a plastic sheet and then replaced the liqueur graphics to create this one-of-a-kind Evilive electric nightlight. Wow. Jessica's like, just because I can. And then I don't know what the background, what's this background here, huh? Umberto, what is this supposed to be under right here? This is very interesting. I don't know what that's supposed to be. And yet another fucking cover of Evilive. Oh, that's with, wow. So that's the photo with just them. That's the blown up photo right there. And then, oh no, it's a different photo. That's a different photo. Just Glenn's in a similar. Oh, wait a minute. So this is actually composite work. Because that's Glenn in that photo, and then look at him in that. Is that the photo? Yeah, it looks like it. Wow. I really love the Evilive single and record. While all the Misfits recordings are pretty raw, those were even more so and have a sense of urgency to them that I love. And that's Brian Flynn from Super 7. I think, yes, so Super 7 is, oh, this is a stand-up? Huh. Super 7, look at that. That's a different, so it's a different, he sort of redid the layout there. Let's see what the layout is over here. Holy fuck, I'm sweating balls right now. Yeah, looks like it's slightly different there. They add. Isn't this a better way to look at the book, right? And the other way? I feel like I'm really doing it justice now, Umberto. There we go. So you got the big boys from Texas right there. Evilive. So this is for the Evilive tour. There was a tour for Evilive. And the Necros joined them. And there's the Manimals, a fun band out of Columbus or Cleveland, Ohio. They're more metal tinge, but they also had like this weird sort of, they had like an animalistic, they had like this animalistic thing going on where they were all like kind of like cats. Larry the Wolf was the front man. I actually, because I had discovered the Manimals through the Misfits, I was writing my first screenplay before I shot my film Romeo's Distress, and I named the character after Larry from the Manimals, Larry the Wolf, who's a werewolf in the story. I named it after Larry the Wolf. Not that any of you give a shit. But you know, it just goes to show that like how influenced we are by this band, and everything that's like an extension of this band influences us, you know. front to back, blah, 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 something. I can't read it. It's out of focus, or my eyes are out of focus. For the band's 1983 shows, I keep bumping this mic. Peace Corps, never heard of them. Ex-Local Thread. Huh. Interesting. And then you have the Misfits with Youth Brigade. We've seen this artwork before, getting reused over and over again. Same here. Maybe that. Wow. You know what I just realized? I think this artwork has been used a bunch of times. I just never realized it. Huh. And there you go. There's the repurposed artwork again. And yes, the Misfits. Okay, so I believe Adrenaline OD were also on this show, and they were opening up for the Circle Jerks, and they lent the Misfits their gear to play. Mandolia's Ballroom poster, 1983. Silkscreen repurposing of the December 1982 show poster featuring Pusshead's artwork. That's this one right here. For the Los Angeles show with Youth Brigade, aggression, and suicidal tendencies. Cool. Oh, this is a big one. Chris Gates from Big Boys and Poison 13. All right, I'm not going to read this now. I'm going to save that. You have to buy the book to read that one. We're not going to give over everything away here. Needless to say, there are a lot of cool blurbs like this too. So a great reason to read the book. Get the book, people. Ritz Theater flyer and ad. Who cool. Oh, that's the Finder's Lounge. Oh, that's opposite. So that's over here or something. I don't know. I'm lost here. Flyers, 1983. Flyers for shows through the winter and spring of 1983, including the show at the Channel in Boston. That was videotaped. Yeah, right here. It says it. Videotaped, but never released. But you can find it very easily on YouTube. After the show, the band, along with friends from the FUs, SSD, and more, filmed the Brain Eaters video inside the Peter Finelli room, within Durgan Park Restaurant. So yeah, so that was when the Misfits were branching into music videos. They started working on one for Skulls, which never saw the light of the day, and we've heard about the Night of the Living Dead video that was shot by Corey Rusk on pneumatic tape in Ohio in the cemetery with members of SSD Control as zombies. I love how, where do I store all this fucking shit? I swear to God. The Channel Club in Boston was a standout show. It sure fucking was. Watch that shit on YouTube. One day, you know what we should do? We should just sit and we'll just watch the fucking show. You know what I mean? That'll be fun. Huh? Maybe not. We'll do like a commentary on a show. I don't know. We'll see. The Channel Club in Boston was a standout show. The crowd was super enthusiastic and the band played blazingly fast. The Brain Eaters promo video was filmed before the show. So this guy says it was before the show, and up here it says it was after the show. There you go. Some conflicting history there. The Brain Eaters promo video was filmed before the show, and I had on my white chef's jacket, and I lent my white chef's jacket and hat to Robo for the shoot. When Glenn returned the jacket, it was covered in pink, gooey brain stains that never completely washed out. And the hat mysteriously never made it back. So Al Pike from Reagan Youth owned the chef jacket and hat that Robo was wearing for the video. And as you've seen the video, Robo is serving brains to the Misfits and their guests. And at the very end, Robo did not know this was going to happen, but they grabbed his head and they buried it in the brain soup. And it was real brains. It was real cow's brains that were used for the shoot. Would you expect anything less from the Misfits? Especially considering they did something very similar, putting organs and lamb's heads and stuff for Irving Plaza Halloween show in 1980. There's another flyer there. My God, are we almost out of Evilive? My Jesus Christ. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm enjoying the shit out of this. It's just, I was not expecting it to be so long. So there you go. There's the first, what might be the first appearance of your Pusshead artwork, right? For the Misfits. Union Ballroom with Negative Approach. I've never seen this one. using the Captain Harlock skull. Oops. There you go. Another flyer. Let's see what we have to say about the Pusshead artwork. It's here a lot. Completed Fire featuring Pusshead's artwork from the April 22nd show and a signed PUS photocopy of the original artwork. I guess that's it right there. Cool. Before the band's logo. Where's the before the band's logo? I don't see it here. Oh, I see. Before the band's logo and typography, although the band's logo is still on there, you know. Here's another quote from Armand Majdi from Sick of It All. My first experience with the music came through my older brother, who started going to punk and hardcore shows a few years before I did. He saw them in Jersey City and New York in 1982 and 1983 and described the audience singing every word and the danger they faced by getting too close to the band, who would knock people out of their way like the monsters they were dressed as. My brother's love for them quickly spread to me. He let me know how they weren't considered cool by the early hardcore scene because of their costumes, makeup, and image, which bordered on being too metal for many. They were obviously much more musical than your average hardcore band, and being able to belt out entire songs in perfect pitch made Glenn Danzig's singing very different from the usual monotone screaming of his hardcore peers. I like how they stood apart, and their difference only added to their allure. Woo! Yo, my fucking glasses are fogging up like crazy. This is a flyer. We've seen this flyer many times. And that's when the Misfits opened for Black Flag, right? Santa Monica Civic Center Auditorium. This is not only one of their biggest shows ever that they ever played as a band. I believe it was to almost 3,000 people, but it was also it was at this show that I think Glenn was really deciding that he was going to leave the Misfits. A lot of shows. Okay, so here we go. We're starting to see that artwork for Earth AD. The band is soon to break up. There's Misfits with Antidote, which would later feature Arthur Gugi on drums. I don't know if he was drumming at this point for this show. Umberto, do you know? I would love to know if that's true. Boom. And that's right. This was during the Everything Went Back era for Black Flag. They had a deal with Unicorn Records that had gone bad, and they couldn't really record as a band. They could only tour. And this was the incarnation that knew the Misfits the best. I believe Chuck Biscuits was with Black Flag when they played with the Misfits. I think. I'm not sure. That might be Glenn's, exposure. Here we got a quote from Sal from Electric Frankenstein. He's also in my documentary as well. Sal's a nice guy. One of my favorite shows was their last NYC show at Great Gildersleeves. Everybody was at that show. Nobody was at that show, and everybody was at that show, if you get my drift. They had a wall full of cabinets with the Crimson Ghost painted on them. They came in full force and were powerful sounding. They really looked like superhero monsters on stage. It was very exciting. It was a very exciting high energy show, and it deeply influenced me to make all my own shows have that same exciting high energy feeling, like the band was going to jump into the audience any second and all hell was going to break loose. Well said, Sal. And then Abby Mahler, who is a friend of Umberto's, and I guess his girlfriend or one-time girlfriend or still with or something with Al Pike. Her and Al Pike were a pair. My friend Mickey and I were selling Misfits t-shirts and buttons for Glenn at a table he set up in the lobby of Great Gildersleeves. Wow. So Great Gildersleeves also essentially is the second to last Misfits show. That they did that show over the summer, and then they had tours and stuff lined up for Germany, but they played the Greystone Hall 10/30/1983, and that was the last time they played as a band before they reunited in 2016. There were a variety of hand screen shirts, including Horror Business, Bullet, and Who Killed Marilyn, Fiend Club, and more. We didn't get to see much of the show as we were keeping an eye on the merchandise table, but we took turns peeking in at when the Misfits went on. Cool. Oh, baby. I think, oh no, we're not there yet. Whoops, almost jumped the gun. Interesting. So they're sort of like the book is sort of goes through the remainder of their live shows, which makes sense because the band Earth AD came out after the band broke up. Both Earth AD and Die Die My Darling were two releases full of original material that we had not heard before, and the band were no longer a band anymore. So here's the final show, which was taped. Todd Swallow was on the set. Oh my God. All right. I mean, I'm not going to go through everybody knows the legend, right? They pick up this guy, Brain Damage, who would go on, was a great drummer. We're going to do a whole episode about that final night. We're going to look at it from Brian's point of view. Maybe we'll do that after we finish Scream With Me. But because I'm very curious to reread his point of view. It's interesting, to say the least. He really goes out of his way to sort of explain what happened to him. Rightfully so, as would anybody. The final show was taped. Glenn was wearing that greyhound dog mask, and he had a pentagram painted on his chest in simulated blood. He announced the band was going to be their last show. They did 2 songs with the new drummer. And Doyle plucked him, or even just one song. Doyle plucked him up by his neck and threw him off the stage. Todd Swallow from the Necros finished the set. They did this show because they had a huge following, as I said, in the Midwest. And they had a great following in Detroit and felt they owed it to them. So they drove all the way out for the 10 hours for this one show and drove all the way back. Both Jerry and Doyle wanted Googie back, and Glenn refused to work with them. Robo wouldn't come back, so they got this guy, Brain Damage. Jerry and Doyle did not want to work with that guy, and Glenn did. Glenn picked him because of his haircut. He had a cool haircut, Glenn thought, and he lasted one song. They only did one rehearsal with him, but it turns out he was actually a really good drummer. I think he would go on to drum in the Skulls with Mike Mindless and Charlie Pipp. Mike Mindless is in my documentary as well. He says that when he was in a band with Brain Damage, Brain Damage never once mentioned, Brian Keats was his name, never once mentioned that he played with the Misfits, probably out of embarrassment. And they also did a cover. They covered Black Flag's Rise Above, and Negative Approaches, Can't Tell No One. Pete, I think you're thinking of the Back Porch Video that was shot. Back Porch Video was run by this guy, Russ Gibb, a DJ who famously coined the Paul is Dead thing. I spoke to him on the phone. We were supposed to do an interview. It never materialized, and he died. And I'm sad. I still have the memory of what he told me in his head, but that's about it. He talked about the next morning, the awkward morning breakfast, because his wife made them breakfast. They crashed at Russ Gibbs' house. Much older guy who basically was facilitating kids with video equipment and helping them to shoot punk rock shows. Peter says they had some footage. Right. Peter, I remember this. And when I approached Jonathan Brennan to be on this documentary, he didn't want to do it because he was like, he didn't want to deal with Glenn or something. But I think, Peter, the footage is very commonly found on YouTube. It's just footage of the live show featuring the Misfits. And Glenn says, he's like, this is our last show. And literally, like 2 nights later, he started Samhain. Okay, here we go. Let's read this. This is the band's last show. The band's last show, was chaotic, insane, and kind of a blur. I remember I wouldn't play Earth AD Wolf's Blood stuff because I didn't know it or like it. I was also playing everything at a consistent tempo, which was not in their paradigm at that moment. So I was constantly trying to study the songs. They were thinking of taking me to Germany with them, but they broke up. So how about that? So Todd, that's from Todd Swallow. So Todd says that that they were considering taking him, and they should have, man. They should have just kept it going with Todd. Damn it. It's crazy. And that is the end of that poster and flyer for the band's final show on October 29th. Oh, it was October 29th. Thought it was the 30th. For the second time, Todd Swallow on drums. I think he might have done more than that, though. I'm not sure. All right. So that's it, boys and girls, for this edition of Facebook Evilive. This was a lot of fun. Whoa, this is like super trippy, right? It's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, this was super fun, and I think we're gonna look over more books. Let's do we'll do Misery Obscura, and maybe if I can get my hands, somebody find me a very cheap copy of Teenagers from Mars. Find me a place where I could purchase it super cheap, and we'll do that one too, because that would be a lot of fun. I actually have a bunch of those photographs from Rocky because I have Rocky's personal archive in my possession. I've had it for 9 years. At a time where I was very heavily considering I was going to license photos from him. So let's get our hands on that book next. Yeah, if I can find a copy of it that's not like $1 billion, I will even use Lodi funds to purchase it because I consider it would just be a way to, further the show. Yes, Peter, that's right. Nobody was talking to each other at breakfast. So this was a lot of fun. Keep your eyes peeled for stuff. Thank you, Rue. Keep your eyes peeled for stuff that's coming. 1979 stuff. Join the Facebook group if you haven't already. I know sound like a broken record. Like I said, merch is coming. T-shirt stuff. It's going to be. I am not pushing T-shirts. Just so you're aware, I am not going to push T-shirts. I'm putting it out there, and if people want to buy them, they can fucking buy them. If they don't have to. It's not going to cost me any money because I'm going to do it through one of those on-demand sites. But I think I'm going to do it, and I have a design idea that won't use any of the Misfits stuff. It's Misfits without saying Misfits. So if you want to wear a shirt that's so inside baseball that only someone who's a fan, like a deep fit, like you could be a casual guy and be like, oh yeah, I know the Misfits Fiend Skull. But you see this and you go, oh, someone's really knows their shit to know what this is. So we'll see. Maybe we'll do a vote on some designs. I'm going to put some design stuff up. And all right, that's it. I have to go. I have a heart out. I have 20 minutes and then I got to go do something else. Hey, thank you, Tim. Thank you, Umberto. My pleasure to support the book. I'm so pleased that people have purchased copies just from watching me do this on the show. That makes me happy. Because I was a little like, you're like, why don't you let people buy the book instead of like show off the book? It's kind of like, pirating the book a little bit. But, at the end of the day, if the book is out of print, then it doesn't really make a difference, right? So only the copies that can be purchased. And again, people want to own this shit. So I feel pretty good about that. Again, there are some things we do not cover in the book. You can only get them by reading the book themselves. Okay, that's really it. Peace and hair grease. I'll see you real soon. I'm probably not going to broadcast tomorrow. I'm going to focus on getting 1979 up to speed, right? Because that's like the next big thing. That's the biggest thing. We got to get that fucking going. All right, really, for real, I'm leaving. Goodbye.